Hello and welcome to Untwisted Threads. This yarn is called CaMaRose Snefnug. This 55% baby alpaca, 35% cotton, 10% extra fine merino wool yarn features 38 colors. The colorway we chose is 7386 powder and old rose color. This 50-gram skein with 110 meters or 120 yards works up as a bulky weight yarn. The suggested gauge on 4 to 6 millimeter needles is 12 to 16 stitches by 24 rows and 4 inches or 10 centimeters. For today's swatch, I'll be using a 4.5 millimeter needle size. In today's video, we're going to review and score CaMaRose Snefnug using our 5 categories, which are availability, softness, traction, durability, and cost, to help you decide if this is the best yarn for you and your next project. Stay tuned until the end for a few pattern recommendations as well. Let's get started. For availability, we give Snefnug a score of 3.5 out of 5. Since CaMaRose originates in Denmark, I was happily surprised that this yarn has a decent amount of purchase options at smaller yarn shops here in the United States. However, it is still more commonly found across the pond in the UK and Europe, and I ordered mine from a shop called Knit in the UK. For softness, we give it a score of 4.5 out of 5. For a yarn with the name Snowflake in Danish, it's no surprise that this yarn is pretty soft if you ask me. For a comparison, I would say it's more soft than Noro Silk Garden Solo and slightly less soft than Drops Air. I think it's pretty comparable in softness to Isager Eco Baby, which is actually another alpaca and cotton blend. On a scale for micron count, alpaca yarns fall around the 24 microns mark, which is in between merino and Peruvian highland wool. If you're sensitive to wool yarns, or more specifically alpaca yarns, you should have no issues with wearing this 55% alpaca, 35% cotton, and 10% merino yarn. If you notice, this yarn is constructed differently than a plied or twist style yarn. This is called a blown yarn. It is produced with a special spinning machine. It is described as a fairly complicated process, but more simply put, loose fibers are blown into a cotton mesh tube. The fibers end up stuck in the tube, creating the bulk of the yarn, while the longer fibers stick out of the tube, creating a super fluffy look and making it very lightweight. I do want to mention that the cotton blown structure of the yarn is a lighter white or cream color, so if you get a darker colorway of this yarn, you may see that structure standing out in your knitted garment. In terms of warmth, alpaca fibers are lighter and warmer than sheep's wool, but also breathable. Their fibers contain air pockets that provide great insulation in the winter, but again, are also breathable, allowing it to keep you cool in the summer, making it naturally thermoregulating. For traction, we give it a score of 4 out of 5. Unlike another blown yarn we have reviewed on this channel, I was happy to find out that the fibers of this yarn didn't stick together like Velcro. Yes, I could tell that the fibers were attracted to each other, but they weren't stuck together, if that makes any sense. Because of this attraction, I did notice a little bit of grip or traction, kind of like a more rustic yarn would have. So although this yarn is super soft, I didn't find it sliding all over the place on my nickel-plated needles. I also didn't find that I had to get used to the longer fibers, as they seemed to work with me instead of against me, which was a relief. I do have a feeling that if you wanted to knit this yarn with bamboo or wooden needles, for example, that you may experience too much grip that wouldn't be enjoyable, but that of course is just my opinion. For durability, we give it a score of 3.5 out of 5. Due to its natural elasticity, alpaca wool is durable and resistant to wear and tear. I've worked with some similar chainette style yarns that have come apart as I knit with them, but this blown yarn stayed together pretty well, except for when I was pulling on the fibers at the end. A bonus for longevity is that this structure of yarn is less prone to pilling. However, similar to yarns that are a single ply, this yarn is feltable. What this means is that with a mixture of heat and water or sweat, you may find that the long fibers of this yarn felting together. So if you knit a sweater with this yarn and wear it all day, check the underarms because they may be felted together. So I recommend being very cautious and taking extra care if you want to knit a garment with this yarn. For cost, we give it a score of 2 out of 5. For being a 50-gram skein, you can expect to pay $12 US per skein, meaning a size medium sweater would cost approximately $108 US. Alpaca isn't the most budget-friendly fiber, and the fibers and softness of this yarn is reflected in its price. But for using cotton instead of polyamide for the blown structure of the yarn, you're paying for something that is muslin-free and more economical. Overall, we give CaMaRose Snefnug a score of 3.5 out of 5. Although this yarn has incredible softness, I would take a little bit of extra care of any garments you knit with this yarn to prevent felting. The yarn shops in the US may not appreciate me saying this, but even with shipping, it was a little bit less expensive for me to order this yarn from the UK than it is to pay for the inflated cost in the United States. Still, it may be a little bit expensive for my budget, but this yarn is made with beautiful fibers that won't be irritating for the skin and feels like a cloud. So we had a little look on Ravelry and wanted to share a few pattern recommendations with you, hopefully to inspire you if you're wanting to make a project with this yarn. The first pattern suggestion is the Weekend Slipover V-neck by Petite Knit. The pattern suggests holding 2 yarns double to create a bulky weight gauge, but this yarn held single should get you the same gauge. It is worked from the top down, shaping the back yoke first, then each front shoulders, before the front and back are joined to form the body on circular needles. The ribbed neck edge and armhole edges are worked at the end. I think a slipover is a great choice with this yarn because you won't need to purchase an entire sweater quantity, but you'll still be able to make a wearable garment. I also think that the positive ease in this pattern would work well with the yarn to prevent potential felting and pilling of the fibers. The next pattern suggests using this yarn and is called Badger and Bloom by Ventzel. It is a round yoke, oversized colorwork sweater worked from the top down. If you're a beginner knitter, this may be a good pattern to practice colorwork knitting because it is worked from the right side and in the round. I just love how soft and cozy the sweater looks with this yarn. And with this being a thicker gauge yarn, this project will take you less time to knit, which sometimes is a bonus. I think you would be able to find your perfect 2 or even multiple color combinations with the 38 colorways this yarn has to offer. Lastly is the Oversized Seasons Cardigan by Ozetta. This beautiful textured vintage-inspired cardigan is worked top down and closed in the front with 4 buttons. The button band is worked simultaneously with the rest of the body, which means less finishing work. If you're looking for the perfect cloud-like garment, this one may just be the perfect fit. I can say from experience that this half fisherman's rib stitch creates one of the squishiest knitted fabrics. Combine the stitch with this soft and lightweight yarn, I don't think I would ever take this blanket of a cardigan off, especially during the colder months. Have you used CaMaRose Snefnug yarn before? What yarn would you like for us to do a review on next? We would love to hear your thoughts and recommendations in the comments below. If you enjoyed our review, please give this video a like and subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you next time.